Yo, 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 what up, Knicks Station? Oh, ho, ho. Thank you for your patience. We are here now. We're here for KFTV Postgame Live. So let's get into it. The New York Knicks entered tonight's matchup against the Charlotte Hornets, looking to get payback after not having a great outing last Friday after Thanksgiving, but after defeating the Orlando Magic and clinching a spot in the Emirates NBA Cup. They're looking to extend their winning streak and to their dominance that they showed 2 nights ago. And tonight, it looked like we weren't about to get that. We saw the Knicks just get off to a slow start, not because it was lackadaisical, not because they were looking tired. It's just because shots weren't falling and they were just looking lost on defense. But second quarter comes around. Right after the first quarter brilliance of Jalen Brunson going shot for shot with Brandon Miller. Second quarter comes around, you get Bridges and Josh Hart going to task OG Anunoby in the third quarter, starting to show off his defensive chops and just locking guys up and keeping it going. And then Karl-Anthony Towns sealing the deal in the fourth quarter. This team would just lock everybody up, continue to be the overwhelming offense that we've seen so far this season, and it was no match for the Charlotte Hornets. And that's where you get the Knicks rolling over the Charlotte Hornets, winning 125-101. Big win. Big, easy win, that is, for the New York Knicks. Salute to Knicks Nation for tuning in for KFTV Postgame Live. I'm your host, Alex Terrace, a.k.a. the Tradicaster. With me on the other side is my guy, Geoff Campbell. You can catch him over on our newsletter, scribing all day. All right? Make sure that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And make sure to support our sponsors, DraftKings and Skims. And look, we're taking calls by the Discord tonight, so make sure to get yourselves lined up and ready because we all want to hear your takes. All right. Yeah, CP decided to have some fun tonight, man. You know, I don't know what CP decided to do, but he's decided to have some fun. Geoff is here after going through some rehabilitation because the last time you were on the show, Geoff, you know, we had the whole conversation, which I wasn't too thrilled about, saying, you know, Jalen Brunson was better than Trae Young, and then you came through saying Trae Young was better than Jalen Brunson. So before I guess, one, how are you doing? You know, I know you have had big life changes, but have you reformed, sir? Have you come to understand that Jalen Brunson is better than Trae Young? Have you come to understand what your transgressions were?
First and foremost, Al, good to see you, my guy. Yeah, you know, as the fans will see, I got my nice little button up here for the occasion. I got my Zen picture in the background of some white doves, and took some time away. You know, I like we said, I was in KFT TV rehab for a little bit. Had to take some time away and did a lot of thinking while I was out there. A lot of time to myself, and 100% a reformed man. You cannot slander our Lord and Savior Jalen Brunson on this channel, and I will not be doing that. But in all seriousness, you know, listen, being on this show is a privilege, and when you come here, your take's got to be correct. You got to come correct, and that night I fell short. So I'm looking forward to a great show tonight, and ready to get after it with you, my guy.
Well, I'm glad that you have come to terms in understanding who Jalen Brunson is and how, you know, magnificent he is in this league. I mean, top 5 MVP last year, you know, decided to, you know, put all the haters to waste based on those performances. And hey, still doing it again this year. But hey, let's talk about this win tonight, Geoff. Let's talk about this solid win from the New York Knicks after having a slow start. And like I said in the monologue, look, this team defensively was a little lost to begin in the first quarter. Offensively, they were still getting to their spots. Their shots just weren't falling. But this team started to, in the second quarter, just lock in and started to steamroll, get themselves back into this game, and then just wipe the Charlotte Hornets out in the second half. And one player I got to talk about tonight who really had a massive impact, just like being a steady hand throughout each and every single quarter, even though it wasn't necessarily dominance, right? Just scoring wise, the rebounding was key. And that is one Karl-Anthony Towns, cat, finishing tonight with, where is it right here? He got us 27 points on 9 of 15 for shooting, 2 of 5 from downtown, 7 of 9 from the free throw line. This man is bodying people, making sure that he's playing physical to get to the charity stripes, so that way he can continue to slow the game down and get those free points and get 16 boards. This man with another double-double, 2 assists after not, locking a single assist last game, which is just crazy. But Cat tonight continuing to put on a strong showing in his New York Knicks first season debut. You know what I mean? First year as a New York Knick, this man is constantly putting in that work and looking fantastic, man. What do you got to think about? What do you think about Karl Anthony Towns?
Cat was great, man. What I really loved about him in the first quarter, especially, is like, he had some opportunities to kind of throw it up from three, and get hot early on. But what I've liked is in some of the games where either the team is struggling, it doesn't look like he's forcing shots. He's working down low, working hard on the boards. And these are not easy boards that he's getting. I know he's either first or top three in boards in the league right now. But if you look at the advanced stats, he's either around the middle of point of November, he was second only to Anthony Davis in contested rebound percentage. So that shows you that these are not finesse rebounds. They're not just long rebounds and they're just dropping into his hands. He's battling down there. And what were the allegations, Al, that Cat had to beat when he came here? He's soft. He's a finesse player. He doesn't want to do the dirty work. But we've seen every game since he's come here that he is willing to, roll his sleeves up, get a little messy. He's fit in very nicely into the culture of this team. But what I really love seeing is him not forcing shots, working within the offense, and when he has his opportunities to get hot, start shooting his threes, and then he hits you with the pump fake and he starts driving. Then he becomes incredibly difficult to guard, and then he can spray it out to the corners whenever the defense collapses on him. So I loved what I saw from Cat tonight, but honestly, it's been kind of a repeat of what we've seen from him pretty much this whole season. Cat has been great, and he's a big reason for our success.
He is a massive reason for the Knicks' success, and it's nice to now see that they don't shy away from him because at the beginning of the season, it was just kind of like, all right, we got Cat going. Now it's time to figure out who else gets going in. Now this offense is starting to look a little bit more in sync where tonight is a perfect night, right? This team is like can cut you in so many different ways, and it doesn't have to be one player. Jalen Brunson with his offensive brilliance in the first quarter, getting you 19 points efficiently. Then, as I mentioned, second quarter, it's Bridges and Josh Hart, the Villanova duo right there, just going to task. And then OG starting to pour in, I think, his 15 points in the third quarter. And then you top it all off with Karl Anthony Towns just closing out in the fourth. And that's the thing about this team, right? You got so many weapons at this point that you have no idea who's going to attack and from where. And with Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson being the two efficient, explosive, just offensive juggernauts out there who can run a pick and roll, pick and pop, whatever it may be. It's so difficult to cover. And Karl Anthony Towns, right? Like we knew we knew how good he was offensively in Minnesota, but you could see the maturity being in this Knicks uniform, and he's taken it to another level. And to see him just change, like, because we know him as a finesse player, but it seems like he's also trying to change from just being strictly a finesse player to being a rugged player who's willing, as you already discussed, trying to back people down in the paint and just body people. I mean, how many times the dunks today? The dunks. How about the one from Josh Hart to Karl Anthony Towns in transition, and he decides to not just attack one, two, but three Charlotte Hornets defenders and finish against all of them. And so that's the type of stuff that Karl Anthony Towns, yes, you could talk about soft physically. I think it's also mentally that people come to this, and just like some of the lapses that he has in the postseason that he has to work through as well. But when you just watch how he's been the beginning of this season, he's just been on top of it. I have to ask you this, Geoff, because there's, Jeff Teague was mentioning on his show, it's now starting to run through the Twitter sphere, the Reddit sphere, whatever social media platform you're on. Facebook is always last. Karl Anthony Towns, is he an MVP type candidate right now? And chat, I want to know from you guys as well. We got 1,000 people in the chat. Salute to all of you for tuning in right now at 11:05 p.m. on East Coast time. Let us know. Do you think Cat should be in the MVP race right now the way he's performing? Jeff, what say you?
Well, he has to be in the conversation. I mean, simply
Mm.
because of where the Knicks are, but also in terms of where I think people thought they would be to start the season. I think there was a decent amount of negativity when this trade went down, and a lot of people were questioning the fit. And a lot of people were questioning, okay, what did you lose with the chemistry that you had with Dante? Julius was obviously hurt for a lot of last year, but what did you lose with the chemistry, the Villanova 3, 4, whatever it was going to be? And now you bring in Cat. And at this point, the prevailing narrative around Cat was still kind of negative. People didn't realize the fact that he actually played really good defense against Jokic in the playoffs last year. But hey, whatever. Um, but he definitely has to be in the conversation simply because I think he's taken the ceiling of this team. We can talk about, you know, there are definitely still some weaknesses, and we obviously have some players out that when they come back, we'll see how they fit together and what the final form of this team looks like. But the ceiling of this team is 1000% higher with Karl Anthony Towns anchoring, yes, your defense, but really being your offense that you can run through him. You can run offense through him when he's at the post. You can run a high pick and roll and let him stand up there by the 3-point line and shoot it back to him. There's so many things you can do with him from an offensive standpoint, that now that you see the chemistry developing with the other four players on the starting lineup, it just makes this incredibly difficult to guard. The only one thing, Alan, I'm sure you see this too, that I'd like to see Cat improve from it a little bit, and Jalen had this a lot last year. Is first off, listen, he's not getting a fair whistle, like 1000%. There's a lot of drives that he's going down, and there's a lot of contact there, and the refs are just keeping the whistle in their pocket. Fine, I get it, but he's got a little bit of this Crimea River trait when he just keeps going at the refs. He puts his hands up in the air, and I think you saw that with Jalen at parts during last season. Let your coach handle that. Let Tibbs talk into the media and say, listen, we're sending video to Adam Silver or whoever it is. Let your coach handle that, because, at some point, the refs are just going to be like, listen, I'm not going to call it because I just hear you all throughout the game. But Karl Anthony Towns is absolutely in the MVP conversation, and as long as health continues to be positive for him, I expect that to be the way, for the rest of the season.
Would you say that he has a shot to win it, or do you think he's like just will be in top five? What do you think at this stage of the season?
I'm gonna say top three, top five. I can't go winning yet. We still have to see, I think, a little bit more.
Okay. Right now, Karl Anthony Towns is 11th in the league when it comes to points scored. He's averaging 25.2 points. He's behind Giannis, LaMelo Ball, Nikola Jokic, SGA, Luka, Tatum, Anthony Davis, De'Aaron Fox, Ant-Man, and Damian Lillard. He's now just passed. Yesterday, Brunson was ahead of him. He is now past Brunson. We know that Cat is leading the league in rebounds with 13.1, shy over Nikola Jokic, who is averaging 13 boards. You just watch like Cat play, and it's like he's a double machine, which we knew in Minnesota. That's what he was in Minnesota as well. But it's really been different on the Knicks. Now, while he is statistically having a great run, and while you watch him on a night to night basis, um, you could see how he's just like dominating, right, in so many different facets of the game. Um, what I do think will hold him back is just the way that this team is just like constructed. Like the way that this team is constructed, just where you can have so many different people attacking. I don't know. It's like the same conversation we've had with Jalen Brunson this season, where Jalen Brunson finished top five in MVP voting. I don't. I think it's going to be pretty difficult for anybody on this team to really outright win it. I think Cat should be in the top five discussion if he continues to play like this throughout the entire regular season. I don't think you'd have a great chance at winning it unless he was like that sole guy that we constantly relied on like night in and night out. And one could argue that this team is just so loaded offensively with so many, like whether it's a role player and OG Anunoby who can put up 40 on a given night. We had Bridges put up 31. We know that Brunson could just get hot at any single moment, and he's improving as a playmaker, facilitating, and Cat is benefiting off of that as well. Plus making his own shots, right? Like we could see whether he drives, just working the paint. I just think it would be very difficult when you just look at this team in its totality to really like give him that winning spot, but he definitely should be in that top five consideration if he continues to
Right.
ball out like this. I mean, the numbers are just saying it. He'll get all the injuries around the league, like LaMelo Ball, like just pointed out to you. Dude's in the top right now for points average throughout the season right now. This is the second time we play the Hornets within a week, and
And
he
he's
didn't
not
he didn't
there.
play, and he's not there.
Yeah.
So health is obviously going to play a big factor into this as well with that 65 minimum game. So if that can also stay healthy, he should be finishing in that top five. I just think it's going to be pretty difficult based on how this team is constructed, though. That's just my thought. Moving on from Catman, who's been playing phenomenal. Josh Hart, another guy who's just been stepping up, becoming a knockdown shooter. Like that's just been shocking revelation. Like this guy is now shooting 37%, like over 37% from downtown, averaging about 3 attempts per game. But this guy is just scoring efficiently and effectively with his threes, mid-range jumpers, finishing layups. Josh Hart, like we talk about this guy being the do everything. Tonight he finishes the game with 18 points. And I'm just like, it was like it's amazing and it's just fascinating. I don't even know if it's strange, it's just fascinating that Josh Hart can now get out there and go get 18 points. I know it's just like you will get the entire roster and there's so many players that have to be defended, but Josh Hart getting 18 points, man, his and efficiently is what the big thing is. That's just fantastic, especially considering he does everything else, all the gritty work for this team.
Yeah, and you could tell the Hornets' game plan was to sag off him. They did that a lot, especially in the first half. He just burned them straight up. I mean, he had something to say to LaMelo, I think, after he hit his third three. And I held up three fingers to LaMelo when he was running down the sideline. I mean, listen, we talk a lot about this Knicks offense, which is already ranked number 1 in the league. If you have Josh Hart consistently hitting threes, I mean, I, that's it. I don't know, what do when you're trying to game plan defensively for a team, you always look at probability. Who can I hedge off of a little bit because I have to really pay attention to these guys that draw a lot of double teams or they create a lot of gravity. Josh Hart is always going to be somebody because of his history that teams are like, this is the guy that we can afford to let shoot a little bit of out of the other guys that are on the court. But him becoming a consistent shooter like he has this year and how efficient he is in the paint, it's been immense for our team. It's been great for our offense. It's just fun to watch too, man. Like Josh Hart is just honestly, I don't care that it's a homer thing or I'm a Knicks fan, but he's just incredibly fun to watch. His level of activity is always there. I think one of the assistant coaches in the game was talking about, he's been putting in the extra work in terms of his shooting to make sure that he's not that odd man out on the court that you can leave open.
And the
again,
tap was stolen
Josh
by.
Hart just makes it that much more difficult to guard us.
Absolutely, man. And if you're gonna get guys who are just going to just, you know, be your fifth guy in that starting rotation and casually drop 18 points, it's going to be a difficult time to guard this Knicks team. And look, over the last 6 games played, Josh Hart is averaging 61% from the field and knocking down 53% of his threes. Like I said, it's low volume. It's three attempts per game, but still, that's very effective, very efficient for him. And then on top of that, he's getting you 8 boards. He's getting you 5 assists. Like this guy is doing everything. And this is over the last 6 games. And so
Yeah.
like it just seems like he's taking up another notch in just being a producer on the offensive side. And like I said, if he's going to give you this type of offense, like it's out of it. Like it's just this team can really reach new heights if you're getting like 15, 18 points from Josh Hart on the
And
regular.
and dude, think about it this way.
And
This
he's
is kind
averaging
of
13 over these last 6 games.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's been incredible. And think about like this is how he was shooting when we first traded for him. He had that real hot streak when he came um over from Portland. And think about like look back at that trade, right? The Cam Reddish deal, whatever the pick we gave. Like I at the time I liked the deal. but I would have never thought at the time that Hart would become such a big part of the team, huge part of the culture, the do everything guy. I mean, just that trade has worked out so immensely in our favor that you look back at it today and it's honestly it's probably one of the most important deals. It probably doesn't get the publicity that maybe like the OG or the Cat deal will get when it's all said and done. But that Josh Hart deal is incredibly important to just the foundation of who the Knicks are.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's just without him at this point, it's like, how does this team even move? Like, I know, like, we talk about, like, you need Brunson, you need everybody else on this roster, but honestly, like, when you have somebody like him that's going to do everything and then give you that, it's just like, how does this team even operate? Because, we talk about Cat's great rebounding. He's right there in averaging rebounds. You talk about
Yeah.
Brunson being that facilitator. He's right there helping as well. Like, he's doing all of those things. And so if he's going to be a scorer as well, this team's going to reach new heights. But salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another KFTV post-game live. I got my guy Geoff on the other side, who has repented for his sins on slandering Jalen Brunson last year with talking about Trae Young being better. He has repented his sins. So now he's back here. We've taken him out of the gulag, the KFTV gulag, and now he gets to be on camera again. Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in. Salute to all the franchise channel members. Salute to Chuck D throw hashtag PE in the chat. He said, salute Alex, Geoff. Tonight got goosebumps seeing OG get two block ovation. Wow. MSG ovations for defensive plays is a throwback to my Knick fan youth. Shout out to you, Chuck. And hey, man, yeah, OG was doing the thing. We'll talk about OG later tonight because OG was just on one, especially in that third quarter. But we want to get to the phones right now, man. We want to get to the Discord in particular. So make sure to tap in through the Discord tonight if you want to get your takes off. We're gonna go right now to talking to Nick. I'm pretty sure this is Nick that I met in Boston. Nick, please unmute your mic. What's going on, man? How are you doing? Nick going once. Nick going twice. All right, Nick, we'll come right back to you. We're going to go somewhere else. Make sure to call in through the Discord. Like I said, we're going to take some calls right now, see what everyone has to say about tonight's game. And my Discord decides to be a little funky as I'm trying to pull people into the chat. What is happening over here? What is happening? This thing is so weird, man. Technical difficulties all over the place. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. All right, we got Freddie P in the chat. Freddie P, what's going on, man? I'll mute your mic. What do you got to what do you think about tonight's game?
Yo, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
Good, man. What's your name? Where you calling in from?
My name is Fred. I'm calling from South Carolina. It's second time calling.
What up, Fred?
Um,
Shout out to you.
but yeah, I enjoyed tonight's game, man. I was actually in the place for the Charlotte game last Friday, so it was nice to see them come out and do what they were supposed to do tonight. It really looks like Mikhail's starting to turn things around, so that's good. But the team's looking good right now, man.
Team is looking good right now. It looks like they're all starting to gel. Are you believing what you're seeing on the court right now that this team can even reach greater heights, or you're just like, we still need to play other teams? We had solid win against the Magic, solid win against the Nuggets. Do you still need to see more out of this team? Well, what do you think, Fred?
That's a good question, man. I want to see him do it against some of the stronger teams.
Mm.
Like they've had a few good wins. I like that win against the Magic and Denver. Denver's been kind of struggling a little bit though, but it'd be nice. Like I can't wait for round two with Boston. That's what I'm really looking forward
Mm.
to. You know what I'm
February
saying?
for sure. February can't get here soon enough. Appreciate the call, Fred. Yo, Fred's got some points. Like we got some solid wins. We want to see this team really get after it and take on some like stronger competition, right? And obviously, like solid wins against the Magic, solid win against the Nuggets. We're gonna have a soft schedule in December. And speaking of that, like Geoff, are you buying what you're seeing right now? Especially on, and I'm really going to talk more so on the defensive end. Offensively, this team can keep up with anybody. Defensively, has this team made a turn in the right direction?
They made a turn. I'm not buying everything 100% yet. Like in some of the newsletters I've been writing recently, I'm like literally checking advanced stats on NBA.com every week, and you've definitely seen a nice increase in defensive rating Like I think in the last week alone, we went from like 26th to 23rd, and then I think we maybe at 19, we were at 16th at one point. Um, but I mean, you want that. I think last at the end of last year, I forget whether we ended at seventh or maybe we were a little bit higher or something like that. But overall, this is what I want to say. Our communication has been better. If you look at the switches that the Knicks were engaged in tonight, you saw a lot more talking. You saw a lot more people directing traffic, especially when it came in the posts, some of those post switches that were going on. I'm buying that. Whether, we can really suffocate teams like we did last year, that remains to be seen. And I think we're not going to really have the information that we need until we get guys back and see how they fit all together. So I'm buying this transformation short term, but just cautiously optimistic and waiting to see what it all looks like. Because at the end of the day, just because we have more players coming back, doesn't mean it's going to necessarily get better. They have to develop chemistry. They have to build their fitness. We have to see how they mesh with each other on the court. That chemistry defensively is just as important offensively. It's different, but it's not just going to like be a plug and play situation. So short term, I'm buying it. What about you?
It's I think I'm with you, man. It's a TBD. I mean, we beat the Magic. They didn't have Paulo. You beat the Hornets tonight. Like you really stomped out. You really like stomped them out. Like man,
Right.
they like it was just Brandon Miller, and like we haven't seen this team against LaMelo Ball, obviously, but like the fact that they were able to turn it up and stop them and not may have it a close game like they did last Friday was a really good sign. And when you look at the defensive rating as the metric, and I know like measuring a defense is very tough,
Yeah.
but like when you look at the defensive rating, they're ranked 19th in the league right now. So they're starting to work their way out of the 20s and looks like they're working their way back into the middle of the pack. Now, granted, we've all talked about this is a very soft schedule in December after having to go through some tough teams like the Cavs, Celtics. Pacers got us good in the last one. The Hawks got us good. Well, we're still trying to figure things out. So December is it should be favorable to us. Obviously, we can't guarantee wins, but they should be able to go out there and execute. But if you want to look at the last 5 games right now for this Knicks team, the last 5, this team is 6 in defensive rating if you look at it. So is that because of the schedule? Is that because they're starting to take a turn in the right direction? I think it's a little bit of both. And I think when you go out there and you execute against teams like the Hornets and the Magic one is what I really like the most. But
Yeah.
when you watch those guys go out there and do that, and then go out there and perform like they have the talent level to do so, it's a great sign. And we just got Precious back. He made his debut with like 9.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. And honestly, the one thing that stood out to me, especially in that second half, was the lineup with Deuce McBride, Precious Achua, Josh Hart, OG Ananobi, and Mikal Bridges. And watching all of them now, Precious a much better defender than Cat, right? Just laterally, quickness, facial recognition. You can see all of that on the floor when he's there. I watched that defense. That was locked down. You were not getting
Yeah.
past anybody. And to
And they
know
were
that you
able
have
to.
somebody at the 5 that can like not necessarily be a rim protector, but just knows how to rotate is much different. And then it just keeps going back, man. I know I'm just beating the same drum. Pause, but it's like, look, it's just when Mitch gets back, it's going to be different, right? When you have a true rim protector at his height, with his wingspan, with his ability to move quick and guard the pick and roll, it's going to be different. But that rotation tonight with McBride, you talk about OG, Hart, Bridges, and Precious, they were locking them up, man. No one was able to do whatever they wanted on that team.
But I'm even more interested in Precious as he integrates himself and gets back like fully to game fitness level because when Cat's in the game, they don't. It's not like they play drop every single time that he's there, but they play
Right.
drop a lot. And one of the things that really does frustrate me about Cat, I've seen this like 4 or 5 times this season. He has this weird thing where at the last second before the ball handler jumps to try and hit his layup, Cat just like leaves his responsibility in terms of guarding the rim, and he just like darts out to the left or the right. I don't know why he does that, but hey, whatever. Um, But the thing that I really like about Precious gives you such flexibility in being able to switch pretty much everything. Because his lateral quickness is decent enough. I mean, yeah, okay, he's not going to stay in front of like prime Paul George or anything like that, but he does a good job on that end. And I'm interested to see even more so than Mitch a little bit because Mitch's rim protection is great and of course his offensive rebounding is awesome. But Precious really you know, I think late in games, he's going to be so valuable. Obviously, Cat's going to be playing late in games, but I think Precious could be really valuable too because he's also not as poor of a free throw shooter as Mitch. So whether he's in late in games in certain situations, you can't just foul him. And I just like the versatility he gives us. And obviously tonight is just kind of it's just getting back into a dip your toe in the water type performance. But as he gets healthier and more accustomed, I think we're going to see a lot of some of the great basketball we saw from him last season.
And we're seeing in the chat right now, should Precious be in the starting five and sit Josh Hart? I still don't think you change the starting five. The starting five is still too good. As we saw in this game, and I know we still want to see it against top tier competition as well. Look, this team was able to go out there and still have that defensive versatility at different parts of the game when need be. I don't think there's still a need to make that type of switch. And for the question of Mitch, I don't think Mitch starts. I think he comes back off the bench. Um, I think they like the 5-out spacing. I think they
Yeah,
will utilize Mitch and Cat out in the court at the same time, but I don't see Mitch being in the starting rotation. Also, look, he's coming back from injury. When he returns, it's going to take time. It's going to take time for him to ramp up and get back out there. I just don't see him just like, all right, now we're back. Now we're gonna see Mitch in the starting rotation.
right.
Let's get back to the lounge though, Geoff. Harrison Dolan, I did see you. You were in the members lounge for some reason. It wouldn't let me drag you out. So if you hop back into the lounge, try to sign back in. Go into the lounge. Let me see if I can drag you into the live show that way, so we can get you back on. Nick, STG Knick, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, good. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. What's going on, Nick? How you feeling?
Awesome, awesome. Pretty good. Stadium report again was in the building tonight.
Nice.
Um, it was good. A little nervous early on. I think we fell down 20-7. I was like, here we go again. But I thought Jalen Brunson kept us in the game. He had like I think 16 in that first quarter after kind of like no one else was really doing too much early on. And then in the second quarter, the bench came in, kept it, tied going into halftime. And then I'd love to see kind of like the killer mentality coming out of halftime. I think they wanted a 25-4 run, and that kind of really sealed the deal going into it. Not part of the minutes police by any means, but I saw the box score when I got home, and I saw 46 minutes from Mikal Bridges. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
But yeah.
46 minutes for Mikal Bridges is not necessarily what you want to see, on a Thursday night against the checks notes, Charlotte Hornets, but no one necessarily wants to see that, but in the position that when you see that your team is down, I think by 13 in the first, you're like, oh, no, 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 no. Tim's like, we're not taking any chances. And I mean, even you see Seth Curry starting to get 13 of his 16 points in the fourth quarter. He was like, absolutely not. We're closing this thing out. We're not taking any chances. You're all playing. It does not matter.
Dude,
Yeah,
Smith
definitely.
Yeah. But thanks for the call, Nick. Appreciate you calling. Actually, before you get off, well, so you said people were nervous in the first quarter. Was it because of like what happened previously against Charlotte, or it was just like being down 13 points and it was just Brunson who was just doing the thing?
Probably just being down 13 points to the Hornets and like in real time, like I don't know if everyone's thinking back to the Hornets game, but just from last week, kind of just in real time, it was kind of like, oh man, like they're hitting their shots. Especially, I think they hit a few threes early on. They got out to the lead. They got out to some transition. I thought we wouldn't box out. They had like a putback dunk. They got some easy second chance points early on, and I thought that gave them a little confidence. Also, one other quick thing before I go, glad to see Jalen Brunson is okay. He went back to the locker room there in the third
Right.
quarter, but something with his back, but he came back out. He walked off the court fine, so looks like he should be okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always nervous when you watch a player just go back to the locker room and you're like, what's happening over there? But absolutely glad that he's okay and he's still with us to go on to the next game. Appreciate you calling in, Nick. Appreciate you calling in as always. All right. So that was Nick with the stadium report from MSG. And see, fans were a little nervous there, Geoff. Fans were a little nervous there today. And hey, rightfully so. When you see your team down and you know we struggled with the Hornets last week, you're like, we really about to do this all over again?
Yeah.
Really about to happen? No one wants to see that. But and you know what else nobody wants to see? But they're going to see it anyway. It's a Skims read. I'm telling you this right now, all right? So everybody out there, look, holiday season is upon us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing the Skims read. Don't worry, you don't got to deal with CP talking about his, good God, no one needs to hear about his spa retreat or the bathhouse as he decides to call it. That's how you know that man's in his 40s, man. Calling it bathhouse. It's a spa, my guy. It's a spa. Relax over there. But we don't got to hear CP talk about that. But look, Skims is a great product. Everyone on the team got laced with it. And look, it is lightweight, breathable, gives you support where need be. We ain't going to go that too detailed into it, but I really like the product. And you know what's good about it? Unlike wearing some other boxer briefs that just, consistently like bunch up or do whatever, this stays in place. And so I highly recommend getting a pair of Skims, especially for the lightweight and breathability of it. Like I really do enjoy that aspect of knowing that the Jewels are getting some fresh air down there. You know what I mean? So not going to go too much into testimonials with it. All right. But hey, make sure you go support our sponsor, Skims. All right. And when you go to the website and you go purchase, make sure to choose podcast and make sure to say that you found out from KFTV. All right. And make sure to use the KFTV promo when checking out. That's our Skims read. I'm not going to go too much into detail, Geoff, because sometimes when CP decides to do this whole Skims read, look, we got the video as is, all right, here. CP likes to go into full-on detail when for, Manscaped, it's no testimonials. But somehow we have to go into the full-on testimonials for Skims, which is a great product. Highly recommend.
It's a different show tonight.
We're going to keep it, family-friendly on my end. That's what we're going to do. Family-friendly. But yes, when you check out his Skims, make sure to select podcast in the survey and put down KnicksFanTV, KFTV, letting them know who sent you there and for what. All right, getting back to the show. All right, let's talk about OG, man. Because shout out to the rhyme animal himself, Chuck D. He brought up how OG in the third quarter had 2 block shots on threes. And then next thing you know, goes down to the other end. And what did he do? I'm pretty sure he drained a 3 at that point, right? If I'm not mistaken. He gets back-to-back blocks. And then what was it? Yeah, then he knocks down a corner 3. And it's like the versatility of this man. And like, this is a guy that was struggling to find his shot for the last few games. Comes out tonight and it's like, oh, I'm back in rhythm. No need to worry about me. I'm here. And he casually dropped 25 points on 10 of 18 shooting, 3 of 4 from downtown. Looks like he's got his jumper back from behind the arc, going 3 of 4. As I said, gets his 6 boards, 2 assists, 4 steals tonight, and 2 blocks. All over the place. Him and Josh Hart are the 2 guys that constantly fill the stat sheet. OG just being the dog that he is. What do you think about OG's game tonight?
I loved it. It's just a continuation of what OG has been this entire season. He's been offensively extremely efficient, like so consistent, and just like a pillar of disruptive consistency on the defensive end. You don't have you have no room to breathe when when he's guarding the ball. And honestly, one of his blocks, obviously the circumstances are completely different, but I remember when Mitch was just coming into the team and we were wearing kind of one of the early editions of the City Edition uniforms. He had a block on somebody, I forget where it was. We were getting blown out, but the dude leapt from like, I don't know, it was like 10 feet out and just caught some of the ball, and the crowd absolutely erupted. It might have been COVID season, might have been before that, I'm not 100% sure. But one of the blocks he had tonight reminded me of that, and it's incredible how quick he can close out. The reach he has, in terms of the extension, it's insane. But along the OG line, but kind of connecting him to Macau. The biggest takeaway I actually had from tonight's game is there is like some budding chemistry
Mm.
going on with OG and Macau that I've been really impressed with. Tonight, their two-man game, offensively, they found each other a lot. And what I've seen is they're getting very used to the patterns of movement that they're used to on the court. They're not getting in each other's way. Definitely finding each other on the offensive end, but defensively, the communication. When I talked about switches earlier, is really those two that I meant because they were on it all night. There were no miscommunications. There wasn't a situation where someone is left free roaming on the baseline and someone finds them for an easy layup. Those two were literally on a string together the whole night. Um, and it was just really impressive. But OG, I mean, like, uh, I still feel like we're talking. It's not truly legitimate, but he needs to be in conversations of an all-star, because we can't just be looking at counting stats and points per game to determine who's going to be the all-star. OG Anunoby, look at net rating, for players around the league. He was 11th the last time I checked. I don't for players that are playing at least
Mm.
35 minutes a night. This guy consistently has a positive impact on winning, and if that's not all-star, I don't really know what is. What'd you see?
Yeah, OG's game, like he is on the precipice of all-star this season. I mean, the dud that he had not too long ago, kind of threw that one off. You have 40 points against the Denver Nuggets, and then you throw up you have like just a dud game against the
Yeah,
Dallas Mavericks. It's just that's tough to work. Now it feels like once you have those type of performances where you just go off and then you just disappear in a prime time game, it feels like you have to work now twice to three times as hard to get back in the good graces of like, oh yeah, this guy should be back at the all. This is not just some aberration. This guy is actually really good and should get some all-star consideration, especially for, he's a two-way player. And I do think he should be in that all-star consideration right now. I mean, put up 25 points tonight, efficient shooting once again. Defensively, this guy's just filling up the stat sheet, man. Like when you watch, like, not saying he is Klay Thompson, all right? So everyone just pump the brakes. But the two-way player, right? A guy that efficiently knocks down shots and can take on, one of the best offensive players on the other side, or just be a great help defender, or just do everything. Those guys get looked at as for all-stars just because of the impact that they bring on the court. The question I wonder is like, it's just going to be name recognition, right? Because the other aspect is the marketing aspect when it comes to these things, and we saw that with Jalen Brunson 2-3 seasons ago when he first joined the Knicks, right? Where guy was having a fantastic season, especially after January. Dude was on a heater, and then no All-Star appearance for him,
right.
right? Next year, after getting that foundation, after the way he was playing, he should have been a starter. Doesn't get a starter, gets a reserve. You know what I mean? So it's like working up this like marketability to get into this all-star recognition. And so I'm wondering if he will get that. And it's most likely going to have to be by reserve. So coaches will make that decision. Um, but I think he should be up there, man. The efficiency that he's playing with and just two-way play can't go unrecognized. I mean, he changes a lot of things. I mean, if when Bridges is struggling, it's like, okay, we'll throw OG on there, right?
Think about
Like,
it
no
this way.
problem.
What about that year though that they had like four Atlanta Hawks in there? Remember that? I mean, like,
Spurs
if
East.
yeah, exactly. So like, if OG can't get some love that way, then I don't know. I mean, I know that they were. I don't know if they were the first place team that year when they got four in. They might have been, and that could have been the reason. I know Woody was the coach, but he's got to be getting recognition. I know Knicks fans will vote for him when voting starts and opens up, but there should be more national talk about just how well he's playing. The shot has really taken it to the next level because he's always been a really good defender, but you have to watch him on a night to night basis to understand and see how hard he gets through screens, how his anticipation, like the way this guy anticipates passes coming. I don't understand why guys still throw just kind of like very lackadaisical passes around him because he just swallows them up, just goes down the other end, dunks it. Yeah, I mean, I think they should definitely be having more of a national conversation for him for sure.
They should, but that's going to take place as long as the Knicks continue to thrive.
Yeah,
Get some solid big wins. Like, look, after that win against the Nuggets, there's a good amount of conversation about that win for the Knicks. They're going to have to continue to do that, and you know, got to look at January schedule to see like who they're going to have to coming up to see who can help propel that conversation because we're talking about February, and so if there's going to be solid games for the Knicks in January where they can look at them on like the national stage and say, hey, this guy's doing it. Like that's why it's like the perfect time against Dallas. You just had 40 points against the Denver Nuggets. Show them that you could continue to do it again because if you did it against Dallas, against a team that is doing well, then it's like, oh, this guy is actually legit. We can
right.
see the shot making, we can see the defense. Let's have that conversation. And that's why I'm saying it's like takes two to three more games now. So like even it's like the effort has to be there now just to even get him back in that conversation. It was like trending in the right direction. Now it's just like kind of slowed. It took a little slide. Now you got to work your way back up. So it is what it is, man. Is what it is. Harris, I think I'm going to save you to be the last caller for tonight, man. We're going to have you close it all out. So just stay on the line, my guy. Stay on the line. But we got, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I don't want to butcher it. Take a moment. Is that your name? What's going on? Take a moment.
Yes, hello. This is Surache from Queens. I was on yesterday as well. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem, man. How are you doing today? What'd you think about tonight's game?
Well, first half was definitely of concern. I thought that was the lack of focus. But then Brunson really saved us, in the first quarter with all the points. Then we went into the second half. It was, different story. Third quarter, I think, with OG especially. But then everyone else was able to join in. But I think that the two blocks by OG was like the big momentum swing there. The third quarter just brought all the emotion for the Knicks. What I would say is towards the future, we still need Mitchell Robinson, to counter size, and as evidenced by the first half issues with Richards and Williams, because they weren't there for the first Charlotte game, but they were here, and we could see some of those concerns that we have. And I still do have some concerns when we have to counter, go up against some size.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like when we have to see that, we'll get that test later on into the season when we get to experience like teams who have like even more like height, wingspan, and like that's been the challenging part when we see against Atlanta and stuff of that nature, even Houston. But hopefully even with guys returning like Precious and stuff like that nature, we can kind of counter that and it kind of hopefully balances everything out with the offensive defense, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Precious being back today was nice. He has to get get back into game shape, and I think that things definitely look bright though.
Yeah, things absolutely look bright. And I'm sorry, my man. Just what was your name one more time before I let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. Suresh.
Suresh.
Suresh. Suresh from Queens.
Suresh from Queens. Appreciate the call, my man. Appreciate the call, Suresh. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the call.
Of course. All right, that was Surache from Queens. Shout out to you. Yeah, man, it's good. Like this team is still going to take time. Like we're still learning more about this team. It's still, I was talking about in the last show. Like first 20 games takes time to gel. New season, whether it's like a team that's been together for 2, 3, 5, 10 years. I feel like there's something always new. They try to like experiment in the first 10 to 20 games. Then the next 20 to 40 games, you're just trying to gel, and we're supposed to see that, the team like really come together. And then the next was I guess 40 to 60. Honestly, that's where you should be gelling. And then you're looking at specific matchups. If the schedule plays out that way, like I'm looking at the Knicks, you're going to see the Celtics in February. Hopefully they're fully healthy by then.
Right.
That's the time where you're saying, we got to take these matchups seriously because we got to see where we measure against everybody in the league, right? And this doesn't always work out for every team with the schedule, but at that point, I'm looking for like, all right, how do we match up with these teams? Because you're getting close to the postseason, and then the last 60 to 80, you should be fine tuning, getting ready to roll for postseason if you're in that position. So, look, for this team, they should be gelling at this point. And we're starting to see that offensively. Now it's like, I think they're getting close to the point where I'm like, let's see the challenges. December's not really going to give us that, but definitely next month, want to see what some of those challenges are.
We got one big challenge that when we play the Wolves December 19th, I think that matchup's
Ooh.
going to be really interesting. It's not just because of the Julius subplot, which is going to be amazing. There's
And
going to be a
Dante,
lot of
come on, man. You
motion.
can't forget Dante.
Dante, of course. But think about it. The bigs matchup is going to be very interesting, like how we navigate that. Of course, Rudy's not like great offensively, but don't sleep on Naz Reid. Naz Reid is a nice player for them. I know the Timberwolves are struggling a little bit this year, but how we handle that game from a strategy standpoint, but also emotionally as well, I do think it'll be a nice measuring stick, I think, for where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, here, let's look at January schedule real quick, all right? January 1st, we start off with Utah. The 3rd, you get OKC. You get Chicago, Orlando. Paolo should be back, so that may be even a better matchup. Granted, it could be the same, even a good matchup for December if he's back by then too. After talking with my guy Philip, he's expecting Paolo to be back by the end of this month. You then get OKC again in January, so you get to get redemption against Isaiah Hartenstein, SGA, and the guys. Milwaukee, who is starting to look better. I wonder if they flex this Philly game, man, because Philly is just looking like a pile of ish. Yeah. You get Minnesota. Once again, they'll be in Madison Square Garden for that one. Sacramento usually is a decent team as well. You got Memphis, who's playing well, and you get Denver again. So January is going to be going to have some good tests for the Knicks, and then you go throughout all of February. February is going to be, you get Boston twice, you get Cleveland, you get Memphis. Like there's some good matchups in there. You get Houston again. That part of the schedule starts to get even tougher, right?
Yeah.
And so those are going to be the games that you start to circle, saying, I want to see how the Knicks perform in this one, how they do in this one. And so that's what I'm looking for as the season progresses. But let's get to the team stats for tonight, Geoff. All right, so let's talk about the team stats brought to you by DraftKings. Sponsor shout out to DraftKings. Let me just get my stats over here. Looking at tonight's game. All right, here we go. So, looking at tonight's game, we see that the New York Knicks won 125-101. They won the rebounding battle 43-40. There were moments throughout this game where it looked like Charlotte was just controlling the glass, and they were at the beginning of the third quarter, and even at the beginning of the game, they were getting those second, third chance opportunities, just preventing the Knicks to getting out and moving out in transition, and really just causing havoc, which they would do throughout this game. They get 29 assists tonight to the Hornets 27. They got 7 steals to the Hornets 3. Tied with the Hornets for 4 blocks apiece. Less turnovers than the Hornets with 9. They shot the ball better tonight. 54% from the field, 55% from downtown, 78%, beating Charlotte's 45, 38, and 60. And then looking at the key areas for me, points in the paint, Knicks won that battle 40-36, just getting the slight edge over them. Second chance points really did look like the Hornets were getting those second and third chance opportunities. It wasn't easy for them to convert, but they were getting the boards 9-8 on that one. And then fast break points. I just love seeing this one 22-7. The Knicks really executed out in fast break today, and I loved everything about it. I've been asking for this team to just move out in transition just because you cause the defense to get into a frenzy, and that is what we saw. There was a play where, I think it was Brunson that brought the ball up, and then he gets into the teeth of the defense. They start swinging the ball around, and then ultimately it finds OG Anunoby on the left-hand wing, and he knocks down a 3. And it's just like, this is why I want to see this team push the pace. Charlotte's defense was not ready to slow them down, even though they prevented the Knicks from scoring in transition. Now guys have to reset. They have to rotate as fast as possible to make sure who they're covering, and it forces them to have to communicate effectively in order to make sure that they're guarding the right person. They couldn't do that, and then you start to see the Knicks just take advantage of that. So even though they got 22 points in fast breaks, there was a lot more that was caused just by them getting up the court quickly and just causing the Hornets defense to be in disarray. But those are the key stats tonight. What were some of the stats? What were some of your takeaways from these stats tonight?
Well, to your point, and with the fast breaks, think of the outlet passes, the possibilities that we have now. Josh Hart and Cat being those quarterbacks. I mean, I think we had at least two tonight. I know OG had a dunk on the end. He was a recipient of one of those. But I think the stat I was just looking that stood out to me, obviously Hart with 10 rebounds, but the shooting splits that you were just talking about, we at one point in the game we were above 80% for free throws, and I was just thinking of how insane that is. 50 from the field, above 50 from 3-point range, above 80. I know Clyde, or maybe it was Tyler Murray, said that we're top in the league right now for free throw percentage, but we don't get to the line as frequent. Just the efficiency of this team, man. Like at some point, this is no shade to Julius Randle. This is not going to be a slander Julius Randle thing. But with certain iterations of this team, we were a volume scoring but kind of grind you down to a halt, edge of the shot clock type of team. But it worked, right, to an extent. And we've just transformed into like this super modern, very efficient offense. It's just fun to watch, man. Like, it's just nice to watch. It's easy on the eyes. A lot of passing, a lot of ball movement. People are not forcing shots. So just from like, it's maybe not one stat that comes out. And listen, this is an undermanned Charlotte team, so take it with a grain of salt. But we're just playing completely differently. And as of right now, the success is there.
Absolutely. And you talk about the ball movement. I mean, look, Tom Thibodeau teams, based on that play style you were talking about, it was really like a Brunson Randall show where it's like, all right, those two guys, they got to get their shots, and then anybody else that can feast where they can
Right.
do so. And we know it was clunky when you had RJ in the mix just because there wasn't enough shooting. Team looked much different after they traded for OG in January. I mean, that's a still what if moment of the iteration of that team. Is like, what would that team look like in the postseason fully healthy? But the passing on this team is much different. It's gone to new heights. I mean, they're averaging 28 assists per game. They're 8th in the league, and it is beautiful. It is pleasant to watch. It is nice on the eyes when you're just like, oh, look, they're making proper reads. Oh, look, they're looking for the open man. Oh, look, no one's really forcing a shot. For 99% of the game, they're all taking shots that they should be taking. Even McCall's tough turnaround fadeaway jumper, I'm like, yeah, he can hit those, and like it's in the rhythm of like what they're doing. So I don't really hate it. Like most of the time, none of these shots are truly forced. It like watching these games, it's like, all right, yeah, and they're also number one offense. Like, can't really complain too much with the number one offense, but honestly, most of the shots that they're taking, it's within rhythm. It's within the course of like what they're trying to do and where they're trying to get to on the court. So absolutely, it has just been easy on the eyes, as one would say. And with that, that is our team stats. That is the stats. Tonight's stats brought to you by DraftKings. And remember about DraftKings. Let me tell you all about DraftKings, our sponsor. Okay, every point counts with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code KFTV. That's code KFTV for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8 HOPE NY or text HOPE NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ B-ball. All right. So make sure to use that promo code KFTV. And for all new customers, get up to $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. All right. And hey, you know, yeah, I dabble here and there in the DraftKings Sportsbook. You know, if you all took my advice on Game of the Week preview, you all would have won a little bit of money like I did when I said Josh Hart was going to get a triple-double. All right. So, you know. Just say it, man. Just say it.
Just
That's
saying.
another thing for people to just go tap into Game of the Week preview. All right. Appreciate everybody that comes through with that. All right. All right. We're getting close to the end of the show here. So you know what? Let's get to our last caller of the night, Harrison. We got Harrison on the line. My guy. What's going on, Harrison? How you doing tonight?
I'm good, Alex. How you doing, man? Geoff, nice to meet you. Shout out to all the regulars. Shout out to everyone behind the scenes making this happen. Everyone hit that like button for your boys. Yeah, great win tonight. Another great one, 4 in a row. And I'm very impressed with this team. I do have a couple of concerns. Particularly Mikal Bridges playing 47 minutes essentially in a blowout win against Charlotte in December. I mean, that's a lot to ask of him. He's in great shape and he's doing it, and you got to give him credit. And I'm pro Tibbs. I like Tibbs a lot. He's earned my respect, but I just don't understand playing him that many minutes in a blowout win like this. But
are you trying to join the
Mikal's
Menace
really
Police,
been
Harrison? Are you just telling me that you're trying to join the Menace
that's
Police?
the thing.
Undercover
Well,
man.
there's a different.
Are you the
I
ops?
don't
Is
care
that what
when
you're
the
telling me?
starters-
Are you the ops that you're just ready to come out and say, "Hey, I'm the Menace Police"?
That is not the case, Alex. And I don't care when they play 40 minutes, but 47 is kind of a stretch. He's already playing the most minutes in the NBA this season. But I just wanted to touch on that. I think Mikal's been playing great. We talk a lot about recognition. I think OG deserves that all-star spot. And whether or not he gets it, we have 3 all-stars on the team. And that is deadly. And the team is really gelling, and OG is doing everything. And it's just amazing to watch. And I got a stat for you. We talk about leading the league in free throw percent. This Knicks team is currently on pace to be the best free throw shooting percent team of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of all time in the league, or all time of all Knicks?
All time in the league for any team.
Wow. Holy cow. You know who's going to say let's ruin that party? Mitchell Robinson when he returns.
Mitchell Robinson. No, but I mean, they're shooting 84.1%, and the offense clicking is one thing, but when you are that good from the free throw line, it really shows me something else. And before I get out of here, I have a kind of a weird potential trade target I want to get your thoughts on. So I don't think the team needs a trade, and in fact, this isn't even someone who would be in the rotation. Just kind of wing depth, injury insurance, veteran leadership type of move. So the Bulls are essentially open for business. And if Marcus Morris isn't walking through that door, I'm curious what you guys would think about a player who is a veteran, can play that injury replacement small forward, and he would cost less than a first-round pick. And that's Torrey Criag. I'm curious what you guys would think about. I'm curious, he's not the most exciting acquisition, but I feel like the team is missing a little veteran leadership because our oldest players campaign at 30. And I'm just curious to get your thoughts on that.
All right. Appreciate the call, Harrison. And that, look, we're getting early. Appreciate the call as always, my man. Always welcome to call back in. As always, appreciate the conversation.
Thank you, bro.
No
Have a good
doubt.
week.
You too, good sir. You too. Torrey Criag. We are getting ready for trade talks. This is where we need some cap experts, man. What is the cost to even doing this type of business at this point? I mean, we are like shy under the salary cap from getting to that second apron. Are we even willing to make a deal to bump ourselves into that threshold and to limit what we could do for? I don't even know if that would. I truly. There's a lot of moving parts to that, in my opinion.
I'm sure there's ways to make it work where either we do exact salary so that we're not taking on money, It's funny. I haven't looked at Torrey Craig in like a while. I remember like there was a season or two ago where he was actually playing some really good minutes. Well, he was good on the Pacers for a decent amount. He was like a really solid forward for them. Could hit open shots, played really good defense. He's strong, man. Like that's one of his biggest assets. Like he's just a big dude. Like not in terms of height, but just solid. Um, Also dating Meg the Stallion, I think. Not I don't know that matters, but certainly interesting. But yeah, I
So
mean,
more
I don't know,
celebrity
Tori.
celebrity role. That's what you're looking for, huh?
That's it. That's it.
I see what's going on
Um,
here. Harrison Dolan thinking like 3 steps ahead.
but Torrey Craig's a solid player. I don't know. It's funny because we're gonna be coming out actually with an article in the newsletter talking about trades maybe in like a week or so. Be interesting to see what names we come up with. But Torrey Craig is not a bad one by any stretch of the imagination because he gives you depth and he does things that the Knicks either need or already do well, and he can just kind of like supplement that.
For sure. And let's see, looking at Torrey Craig right now, recently played on the 29th against the Boston Celtics. He's currently on the Chicago Bulls. He has played a total of 6 games this season. Um, Not necessarily doing the greatest right now. Well, actually, let me take that back. Averaging in the 6 games that he's played, he's averaged 11 minutes. He's shooting 50% from the field, shooting 39% from downtown, 100% free throw rate, averaging 5 points per game. Um, and getting you 2 rebounds. So like he's playing limited minutes. Um,
Maybe the question is
Obviously a guy who,
why isn't Billy Donovan playing him more? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, we would have to bring in somebody from the Bulls side to really figure out what's going on with Torrey Craig. But it's not like the worst idea to
No,
bring in that. I don't
no.
think that's the worst. Although I think this team might look more towards like the buyout market and try to get somebody out on the cheap so that way they
Could
don't
see
have to go
that.
into the second apron. I think that's what's most likely going to happen. Also, we were talking before we got on the show about Shamit. That could be another
Yeah.
option. I mean, there's only so many players that you could bring onto the roster. And I don't know if the Knicks are looking to actually make a deal. Like I said, I don't because of that apron, then like the money they have to send out. Like, how much is Torrey Craig even making? Let's see what the contract is for Torrey Craig real quick.
I'm gonna
Torrey
guess because
Craig.
he's been in the league, I want to say close to 10 years, so his minimum's got to be like around 5 or maybe a little above that.
Well, congratulations, Geoff, because the total is 5.
Yeah.
He's making 2.8 this year, so he's got a low end contract.
Okay.
Who you trade to go get that? Because r- remember, it starts to get tighter, on, like how much money you can shell out and stuff of that nature. So I just don't know who on the Knicks you would move to go get somebody like that. And
Yeah.
like if you're looking at Shamit and the wing
Who I
depth has
like,
gotten.
who I like, by the way. I'm interested in seeing how he works and fits, but we'll see.
I see people in the chat say pass. Let's pass on Craig. Let's not go too deep into Craig. All right, people, we won't go too deep into Torrey Craig. All right, we won't go too deep into Landry Shamit either. All right, it's still early. This team's still gelling. We're still waiting for players to get back. Some of you are in the Dottie hive, and so you just want to see your guy just get out there. We get it. All right, we absolutely get it. All right, man. We got another super chat in here from earlier. Shout out to Lord Steven Stone for being a franchise channel member. Said he gave us a super chat saying Nick's big 3 was cooking. Bet they were, man. The entire team was cooking. In all honesty, like this team, like this. That's the thing. Do you think this team has even hit its full potential offensively
No,
yet?
no,
That's
not
crazy.
even, not even, even though they're the best offense in the league, I don't think they've hit. Um, this is actually one thing I wanted to bring up before about Macau. So, like, he feasts off opportunistic looks. So when he had like one or two mismatches in the post tonight where he just feasted. He backed down his dude, either hit a fadeaway or went to the uh, basket for a layup. When he's just kind of letting the game come to him, taking open shots, cutting backdoor, attacking closeouts a little bit. He does really well. But when we try to force him the ball, with the exception of the Pelicans night, because he was coming off a really rough game and the team rallied around and they clearly wanted to get him going, that's a different situation. But when we force feed him looks because we feel like we need to, he struggles. But if we just focus our offense on Jalen and Cat, have everyone kind of roll around that and get in where you fit in, honestly, Mikal looks great. And who cares if he scores, seriously, who really cares if he scores 16 points a night and they're all layups because they're open shots? Who really cares? He's as long as he's playing good defense, he's moving the ball when he's guarded, he's cutting, he's setting screens, he's fighting through screens. I don't really care. But I see a huge difference when we just allow the game to come to him as opposed to, okay, no, we've got to get him this amount of shots and we got to set a screen for him so, he could feel like he's included in the offense. Like, just let it flow naturally. Like, I hate to sound like Tibbs, but, ball will find you and the game will tell you what to do. And when that happens for Mikal, he does really well. The magic is in the workout. I don't know if you know.
Oh my God. Yes, I know that the magic is in the work. Thank you. Between you and now hearing Quentin Grimes on the Dallas Mavericks quote Tom Thibodeau, good God. How much more tips can we get?
I really don't know.
Geoff, screen, ball. Come on, Cat. Can you imagine, like, just
And then you got to get the hand going.
Scary Movie 2. That's my strong hand. Oh man, but I agree with you, man. Like, this offense hasn't even reached its potential. But like, once Bridges finds his groove, man, this thing is gonna like.
Oh, it's over.
It's gonna be completely over.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so much fun. But all right, man. Great show as always. Appreciate you for coming through as always, and I appreciate Knicks Nation as always for tapping into KFTV Post Game Live. Let us remember that the New York Knicks defeated the Charlotte Hornets tonight, 125-101. It was a nice win. Gave us a little scare in the first half. You're not really a Knicks fan until you get a little scare in the first half, but they were able to work through their demons. They tightened up on defense. The offense started to flow through and be overwhelming for the Charlotte Hornets. They couldn't stop anything, and they were able to get essentially what should have felt like an easy win in the end. Even though we'll struggle to begin. But you need to come over a little bit of adversity, right, to feel success. So shout out to the Knicks for doing so. Shout out to Knicks Nation as always. Shout out to the franchise channel members, man, for coming through. We got Omar Shalabi in here. We got Eddie Suarez, John Talento, The Shells. We got JJ in here as well. Who else we got? Who else do we got in here? We got Remake. Shout out to you. Shout out to the Chief Modern Operation, my guy TM, John Talento in here as always. Who else we got in here? Who else we got? We got Janelle Torrey in here too. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to all you for coming through. Once again, shout out to Chuck D. Throw a hashtag D in the chat. We got all you in here. I appreciate all you for tapping in. We had 1,700 of you in here with us. We're at 1,200 right now, and it's past midnight. So KFTV After Dark, although we won't go to the KFTV After Dark skits right now. We're winding down. But remember, if you can't catch the show live, you know what to do. If you can't find us on YouTube, which you should be hitting the like button, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. You can find us on any audio listening platform. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. So make sure to go download it if you can't catch us live on YouTube. That way you can always hear us, whether you're on the road, whatever you're doing, you're always tapped in to listen about Knicks. All right. And look, if you can't catch, if you want to catch us in the written format as well, know about all of our promos, about events, make sure to sign up for the newsletter, okay? You can sign up for the newsletter. You got great articles over there. Shout out to KFTV Jalen. Shout out to Geoff. Shout out to Omar. We got so many different people contributing to that side. Shout out to Remy's recaps, man. Remy's been doing the damn thing for a minute. Yep. So shout out to all those guys who put in the hard work for the newsletter, right? And providing that quality written article work. Very difficult to do. Shout out to all of them. But if you want to know about Mando, Manscaped, all the promos, and get reminders of that too, and any upcoming event, make sure to subscribe to the newsletter. And also, if there's any change with anything, if there's a hiccup, you get notifications there as well. All right. Remember, support our sponsor, DraftKings. Use that promo code KFTV. Make sure to support Skims. Go to the website. When you let them know how you found us, go to select podcast in the drop down, put in KnicksFanTV or KFTV to let them know that we sent you. All right. And that's all we got for you guys. Until next time, you know who we play. We play the Detroit Pistons on Saturday. Detroit. Looking pretty interesting. Looking pretty, I don't even know what to call them. Like, they're a frisky team, 9-14. Team is just hovering there with, like, the East is just jumbled, man. I don't even know what to make at this point. They're like, it is what it is at this point. So, meh. But we'll catch you for that game, for KFTV post game as well for that one. So, salute to all of you, and salute to the replay gang as always. All right, everybody. We out.